Welcome back, everyone. This module is about cultivating discernment in the digital age. To truly discern what's best for you, meaning what aligns with your values and your well-being, you need to understand what you're up against. And that starts with seeing clearly how our media environment actually works. So in this video, we'll cover what exactly is the attention economy and why does it matter so much. You've maybe heard the phrase attention economy tossed around, but today we're going to break it down because understanding how your attention is being harvested and sold is a powerful first step in reclaiming it. Once you recognize how this attention economy system operates, it becomes much easier to notice its patterns in everyday life, and that awareness alone can spark meaningful change. The attention economy is nothing new. I'm going to give a little historical context here. So in 1833, a man named Benjamin Day launched the New York Sun, the first newspaper to rely primarily on advertising revenue, not subscriptions. So he sold it for just a penny. And previous to this, the newspaper just contained news. There weren't advertisements. And so you paid money in exchange for the news. Now the newspaper only costs a penny, but it's relying primarily on revenue from advertising. So instead of the reader being the customer, the advertiser became the customer, and the reader becomes the product. That's what's being sold. So I bring up this story from 1833 to say that this is nothing new. But when we fast forward to the digital age, we now get free platforms, Google, Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram, and many others, but they're not really free. You're paying with your time, attention, and behavioral data. So that essentially is the attention economy, a marketplace where your attention is a commodity being extracted, sold, and traded, mostly without your consent. And platforms want to keep you online for as long as possible because the more time you spend, the more ads they can show you and the more data they collect. And your data is not just clicks and likes, it's patterns of behavior, your moods, how long your eyes linger over something, how vulnerable you are to different advertising prompts. And that data gets packaged, analyzed, and sold to advertisers and an entire industry of data brokers. And a 2013 US Senate report found that data brokers buy and sell information on nearly every single American adult. So that includes your shopping habits, location data, income, political beliefs, and more. And that was from many years ago. So it's not getting much better. Let's put it that way. And the platforms aren't just selling who you are, they're also selling you who you might become and how they can influence that. So it's not only about your attention, but also about behavioral manipulation. At this point, I want to give one other piece of historical context. So in 1971, economist and Nobel laureate Herbert Simon wrote, "What information consumes is attention. A wealth of information creates a poverty of attention." So this was in 71, so well before the internet. He warned that too much information leaves us cognitively poor. Even back then, before the internet, he saw the problem. The more information, the harder it becomes for us to focus, to filter, and to decide or discern what actually matters. So while we often look at the internet as a place to consume information, we forget sometimes that every scroll and swipe and click is also consuming us, our energy, our focus, our cognitive and emotional resources. And law professor Tim Wu calls these companies attention merchants. In his 2016 book, The Attention Merchants, he explains how companies have industrialized the harvesting of human attention, turning our inner lives into raw material for profit. He writes, "The business model is simple. Attract attention, hold it, and then resell it. And we see this at scale now. Meta, who owns Facebook and Instagram, earned about $131 billion, billion with a B, in ad revenue in 2023, while Alphabet, the parent company of Google, made roughly 307 billion total, with over 77% of that coming from ad revenue. That's attention turned into hundreds of billions of dollars. And this is where burnout, anxiety, and a sense of purposelessness often sneak in. And this is not our personal failure. It's the result of existing in a system that extracts our internal world, our attention, our thoughts, even our desires, largely without our full consent. Sure, there may be terms and conditions in tiny print of hundreds of pages, but who's really reading that? And on top of this, now, in order to participate socially or professionally, many of us feel we must remain on these platforms. I'll be honest, I'm on them too. I create content and share ideas that I believe matter. And so this course is not about going offline entirely. It's about beginning to see the system clearly for what it is, so we can engage with it with intention and protect what is most sacred inside of us. This has real world impact. So let's think about what this means for your day-to-day life. The longer you scroll, the more money these platforms make. And that's why your feed isn't neutral. It's engineered to be emotionally sticky. Generally speaking, content that evokes outrage, fear, envy will keep you engaged. What captures your attention will also shape your perception. And over time, this distorts our worldview, shifts our values, and weakens our sense of agency. This is the predictable outcome of how the system is designed. And while the system is not great, all is not lost. We can reclaim our attention. I'm not going to lie to you and say this is going to be so easy. It takes some effort, but I can assure you it is so worth it. So first, pay attention to what you're paying attention to. Ask yourself, is this helping me grow? Is this aligned with how I want to feel? Second, reclaim choice. Your attention is not just a resource, it is a powerful, creative force. And when you choose to redirect it toward what truly matters to you, you will begin creating a different kind of life. You begin to close the gap between your actions and your values. And finally, shift your entire relationship to attention. This course isn't just about screen time limits and turning off notifications, and those things do help. But this course is about helping you understand that your attention and ability to focus aren't just keys to success, which they are. They are also foundational to your happiness, your creativity, and your authentic personal power. This economic model, where your attention is harvested, manipulated, and sold to the highest bidder, is not just exploitative. It is a violation of your agency. And more people are beginning to see it for what it is. People often say, pay attention. But your attention isn't just something you pay, it's something you invest. And the returns of that investment, joy, focus, clarity, start to multiply when you invest with intention. We are being pushed to grow by this system into more discerning, more intentional, more conscious agents of our own lives. And science shows again and again that our attention and intention shape reality. So let's start acting like that's true.